Everyone, welcome back to this channel. So in this video I'll walk you through how to use Django class-based views by building a very simple blog app. So we'll cover topics like listing blog posts, viewing blog details, creating, updating and deleting posts, all CRUD operations, all using Django's powerful CBV, which is class-based views. So let's dive in. So what are class-based views? So CBV lets you build views in an object-oriented way, making your code more reusable and cleaner. So instead of writing long function-based views, which is FBV, which is what we are most common with, you can use Django's built-in classes like ListView, DetailView and CreateView and more to keep your code clean and dry. So let's dive in. So here I've created my Django app, so I'm not going to cover that in this video, so go ahead and create your Django app. So I've created my app and every necessary thing I need to do. So let's get straight with the video. So now this video is Django class based view, but what are we most familiar with, which is function based view? For example, most of the times we are familiar with function based view. This is what I'm saying. If you want to write a request with function or in Django, you do something like define home, then request, and after that we can return, let's say, an HTTP response, which is let's say HTTP response, and here we can just pass in hello world. This is just a very simple function based view to display hello world. And here I'm going to import HTTP response. So now this is a very simple function based view, and what will I do? We have to pass this view to our urls.py. So this is my URLs here, so I'll say from let me say URL patterns, then path. I can just leave it like this and import my views, which is home, but before that I'm going to import, let's say, from django.urls import path, and then I'm going to say from .views imports home. Let's say something like that, home, because the views here is a function based view. This is a function based view, a simple view to display hello world, and in my urls.py I have the views here. So let me just pass in home here. Now with this, if I come to my terminal here, I run python manage.py, I run the server python manage.py run server. I'm going to have a hello world display on my server or on my browser. Let me click this. So here we have our hello world. So we did this with function based view. So now how can we do this with class based view? So the first view we are going to talk about, let me comment this out. So the first class view that we're going to talk about is the view, just the normal view. So here I'm just going to call on the class instead of using div like def to define functions. So I'm going to use class, and there I'll leave something like home like this. Note that most times in class based view we use like the sentence case, like the title case, in which the first letter should be in uppercase. So that's the conventional way of writing classes. Then here I'm going to pass in the argument view like this, then it's going to be something like this. Now the next thing we want to do now is to import this view. So I'll come up here, so I'll say from django.views imports view like this. Then after that, here we can just pass in. Now what we want to do is to return an HTTP response, which is something we want to do, something like what we had here to display hello world with HTTP response. So how can we do that? We can do that by just calling, so inside this class based view we can call a simple function like define like this, and inside this define like def function is going to be so get like this. Then we call the self, so this self means this self class, and then request, we pass in the request like this. Then after that we can return HTTP response, and inside this response we can pass in anything we want there, hello world. Now the only difference when using class-based view is that when we come here now, we don't have this home again. So what we now have is home, which is the class. Now we'll pass in our home here, but not just like this. So since if you pass it like this, Django is going to see it as a function. So to see it as a class, we have to add this argument to it, dot has view, like this, and we put it in we put a bracket like this. So this is the way we pass in class-based view in Django. So if we reload it and go back to our browser, if we go back to our browser here, so if we go back to our browser and refresh, if you notice, we still have our hello world here. So now what have we done? So we have actually displayed hello world using function and using class. So here we can even tweak more things. I can pass in like the way we write our a normal Python. If I say greetings is equal to like a string like this, hi everyone, and I'm passing, instead of using this, I can just say self.greetings like this. So if I save this and go back to the browser, so we should have hi everyone displayed. So and I refresh my page, so now we have what hi everyone. So these are just the basic things of how this is how we actually use view in Django. Now to show you guys is template views. So let me remove this, I don't need this now. So let's remove this. So now, normally if you want to like link your template or how you write your templates in normal Django, we do something like, let me go back to what we have here, like the normal sorry, not normal Django, you're using function based view. So you define a request, you define your function using that def keyword, then you can just return render like this and pass in your templates. For example, return render, you pass in your request, then you pass in the template name, let's say home.html. so you can so you get the point that I'm trying to make. Like this is how the normal conventional way of like passing or rendering templates in Django, isn't it? In Django using function based views. But if you want to use class based views, is a lot easier and quite different from this. Let me show you, let me comment this out. But first let me just create my templates folder. So I'll say new folder, templates, then inside there I'll create a new file, which is, let's say, home.html. 9, I'll remove this first, I don't need this. So now, okay, so here in this my views now, I'm going to say, okay, let me remove this my sidebar so I'll be seeing what I'm doing here. So here I'll call another class in the same class. Let me still use the home that we had there. Now what will I pass here? We have used Django views. Now we are using Django generic views. So I'll pass in this argument templates view like this. Now, and if I'm using templates view, I have to import it here. So I'll say from Django.views.generic import template view like that. Now inside there I'm just going to pass in my template name, like templates name like this, and I'll pass in home.html. so that's all. So inside this home.html, let me just create a new tag, let's say h1, an h1 tag, and here I'm just going to display a message to know that it's working. I'll say Django template view. Then if I come back to this view, okay, if I save everything and go back to my browser here and refresh, so we should have Django template view working. So we have what? Django template view. So that's how you use Django template view. Let's add context to our class view. Now I mean context in the way, you know what context is in Django function. For example, here in this place, if I add context and I say equal to hello world, and here I pass in my context here, the way we pass in context, and for example I say context and I get the I get the context like this. So you get what I'm trying to do, and you see the yellow word displayed on the page. But here, how can we do that using class-based view? So here I'm going to define a function. It's going to be get context data, and we'll have something like this. So here I'm not going to return this direct, I'm just going to say context is equal to this. Now this super means you should get the super class and get the context data as a keyword argument like this. Then after that I'm going to add like context. So the context, let's give it a name. I say title, and here what is the context? Let me say this is Django class based views. Django class based views. Then here I'll just return my context like this. So now if I go back to my home.html, so instead of this Django template view, I can pass in my context here. So I'll use my Django template tag. I'll say if title, the name of the context that we give it. And you know, anytime you use if, you have to end it. So I'll end my if. Sorry. So I'm going to end if right here, and here inside I'm just going to pass in title. So if everything works well, we should have what we have here, this context that will pass here. This is Django class based view displayed on our browser. And also one more thing, I have to remove this. I don't need to put this semicolon that I put here, so I just need to return my context like that. So if everything works well, if I go back to my browser, I should have this message that we have here. This is Django class based view displayed on our browser. Let's check. So here, if I refresh it, I have it. So this is Django class based views. So that's how you pass in context in Django class views. So by now I'm very sure you should be familiar with Django class based view. So we have actually done two views, which is we have done the normal view and we have done the template view, isn't it? So now let's get to the next one, which is the list view. This is where things get interesting. So first, let me just clear my views here. I don't need all this code. Let me just delete them. So now we want to start with Django. We want to start with list view. So one thing is that Django class based views is very good to create code operation. I mean, like, you know, code operation, which is create, read, update, and delete. So it makes it easier instead of writing long Django function based views code. The next thing we want to do is we want to work on list view. So this list view, let me capitalize it, list view, and let me just comment it like this. So it's just like it's part of code operation. You know, when you want to create code operation, we have CRUD. So create, read, update, and delete. So this list view is actually read. So now let's get started. So this is where things get interesting, and more interesting and a little bit. So we need to work with our database. So here I'm going to go to my models.py. So in this part, I'm going to behave as if I'm creating a blog app. So let's just try to say, let's create a post. So I'll say class posts, and I'm going to say models.model. And here the first thing we are going to have, let's say the post title, models.char field, so which is going to be, let's just say max length is 100 or 200. Then we are going to have the content, so it's going to be models.text field like that. Then let's say we have author, and it's going to be models.char field also, and models.char field max length, let's say max length 100. Then last thing, we're going to have created_arts, which is going to be models.date time field like this. Then let's just define string then we return self.title, and all this date time field. Okay, let's leave it like that. Now the next thing we actually want to do, the next thing we want to do is that, forget this error, we are going to work on it later, or let's just solve it. Yes, the reason why I have that error, let me go to my errors.py and comment this out, or we don't need it, let me just remove it and remove this as well. So now what we want to do now is we want to make our migration. So let me break this, what is running. So here Python manage, sorry before that date line field, let me do it this way. Then I'll say Python manage .py make migrations, then Python manage .py migrate. Now before running our server, let us just quickly create super user. Python manage .py create super user for our admin page. So I'm just going to leave it blank. I'm going to put my email. Okay, let me put my email address, and okay, let me just put the password there. So now I've successfully created my super user. Then let me run my server. Python manage.py run server. So everything is currently working now. Now what I want to do next is just to go to my browser and just create a different blog post. Okay, before then we have to register this post in our admin.py so we can see it in our admin. So here I'm just going to say admin.sites.register. Then what am I going to register? Let me first import it. So from .models import posts. So here I'm just going to register this post. Then after that, if I go back to the browser, so since we don't have any view, that's why I'm having this Django test page displayed. So here if I go back to my browser and just /admin, and I'll log in with what I used before, user, then with the password that I used to log in before to create my super user password. So I'm logging in. So I have this admin page here. So I just want to create some simple posts. So to see what ListView will do, so I'll add posts. So the first one, I'll say Django views contents. Let me just write something there, or let me write something meaningful. So this is Django class based views. Subscribe to this channel. Then author, let me put my name there, and created at today, time, now, and I save. Now let me create another post. So here let me put it, welcome to this channel, content, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. And author again, let me put my name, then date, today, now. So now we currently have 2 blog posts in our in our models and in our admin and also in our database. So how can we display this blog post in our web browser? If I come back to my browser, let me just arrange my workspace. Let me remove this admin panel like this. I do not need this, and I also don't need this now. And let me just put this here. So now in this my views.py, so now what do we need to use? Now I want to list all the blog posts in my models.py. So to do that, I'm going to use my list view. It's one of the most important class view. So how will I do that? So now I'm going to call my class again, and I'm going to say post. Look at how I'm naming my class, post list view. All like I use is a camel case for each, all the each letter starts with capital letter. So then here I'm going to pass in the argument list view like this, list view. And after that, the same way, you have to import this list view. So beside this template view, I'm just going to say list view like this. Then the beauty of class-based views is that it's very simple to list our objects in our database. So now what will I do? So I'm just going to say models, or model is equal to what? So I need to import the model. So I'll say from dot models imports posts, import post, the name of my model. So yeah, I'll pass in the model here. So it's very easy to list view, to create list view in Django class based view than function based view. So now here I have my model, which is post. The next thing I want to do is where am I listing it in, which is the template name. I have to pass in the templates. So I'll give the name of the template, which is home.html. So that's just all. That is all I need. So the only thing I need to do is just to come to my home.html here. So now we don't need this. So we have, what do we have in our database? I want to list everything here. So let me say we have h1. First I want to change this Django template to, let me say, html, so it's going to be easier for me. So I have h1. So let me say title. Let me first put everything in a div first. So here we are not going to worry about any styling, div. So now I have h1 title. Let me say, what else do we have in our blog post? We have the content. So I'll say p content. Then what else do we have? Let me put my break tag here. So what else do we have? We have our author. Let me use before contents. Let me use like h3 author. Now I don't want the content to be displayed here, so let's just put like a tag like this. Then click to read more, something like this. It's just going to be very basic. So this is just what we want to have here. So now we are already passing our model in our class-based view like this. So how am I going to get everything in my template? It's very easy. So here at the top corner, I'm just going to say, I'll use my Django templates tag. Let me change this HTML to Django templates pack. Django HTML. So here I'm just going to say for item or anything you want in objects underscore list. Then and here I will say end for. Now note that this object list is very important since we are using what? We are using class-based view and we don't have any context. So it is always, almost all the time, it is always object list. Although we can still change it, but for this part, let's use our object list. So here is just like a variable. I can change it. Let me change it to post what I want. So here I'm going to say post.title. Here post.author, and here first let's just leave this, click here to read more first, and let's see what we have. So I have to pass in this in our urls.py. We have this view now, post list view. So here I'm going to say from .views imports posts post list view, and in this part here we are going to have this parts, let's say an empty string. Then we have our post list view. Not only post list view, we had this one dot as underscore view with this like this. So now if I save this, then and if I go back to the browser, our browser, and here I just go back, let me see, or let me remove all this here and go back. You see, we have what list what we have in our in our model. So we have this first post Django views, this is the author, and click here to read more. We have not linked anything to it. And we have the second post, welcome to this channel, and the author, and click here to read more. So let us add dates also to it. But before we do that, I want to make changes to our database. So let us delete the news we have first. Yes, let me log in back to my admin. So all these posts that we have here, I want to delete both first. So I'll delete selected posts and let's delete them. Yes, I'm sure. So if I delete them and come back to this my browser here, so I have no news in my database or in my web browser. So to see that we are fetching all those data from our database. So that's how we use ListView. But first, I want to make some few changes to our code in our models.py. So I want to open this models.py. I don't want us to like the author to write their name. I want it to be from actually the like logged in user, and this created ads also. I want it to automatically add it. So auto now add is true, and here this author we are going to use foreign key. Sorry, we are going to use foreign key. So models.foreign key, what are we using actually? So it's going to be user like this, then on delete models.cascade. So here I have to import the user. I'll say from django.contrib.auth import user like this, or dot model. Okay, so this is already correct. Let me remove this. So from django.contrib.auth.models import user. So after that, let's just run our migrations and our server. Let me cut what is currently running. Let me break this. So here I'm going to say python manage.py make my creations. Then I'll say python manage.py migrate. So now everything works very well. Then python manage.py run server. So if I go back to my server now, and here go back to my admin page. So let's add new post now. So add post. So you see our post is now easy. So what we just need to fill is our title and content, and author is me, which is the user. So the date is going to be automatically added. So let's say the first one, Django views. This is Django class based views. Then save. And also the second one, I'll say welcome to this channel, please like, share and subscribe. And also the author is still me. Then I'll save. So now the next thing, if I go back here, I should see my post in my list page here. So we have Django views, this is the author, and we have click to read more, the second news, and this is also the author. So let's just add dates to it. So if I go back to my browser here, in this home.html, here let's say author is this, and here let's add a span. or a span tag like this, and I'll say posts dot created underscore at. If I save this and go back to my browser, I refresh. So now we have this what? Django views, author, the date and the time, and click to read more. So now what else do we want to do? Let's go back to these views. You see here we don't have, you see how simple how to use ListView is. Let me like bring this like this. Now the next thing I want to talk about is using context. Now you know here we just say in object list. What if we have more than one, like one, we want to look more than one thing in the same page? This object list is not really convenient. Sometimes we want to have something personal or something that is more descriptive so that you know what you are listing in. So what can we do? We have to add another context. So how can we add context? This is what we do. It will have this argument context object name like this, and here I can just say posts. Now if I had this here, instead of having for post in object list, I can just add this like for post in posts, and everything will work well. Do you see the work of context? Do you see the work of this context object name? So anything you had here is, or anything you had here, so instead of just saying for post in object list, you can add that context here too. So I have what for post in post. So if I refresh, if I save this and go to the browser and refresh, you see that everything is still working well. So now we are done with ListView. The next thing to work on is the DetailView, which is, let me write it here, DetailView. Now the DetailView is very easy. So the same way, I'm going to call this class and I'll say post detail view like this. Then here I'll pass in the argument DetailView is a generic view. Then what do we need to do? I will import it here. So DetailView like this. Then the same way, what model? So the model is what? Post, the same model. Then I'll pass in what's our template name. So now the template name, let us create our templates for our post detail view. So here I'm going to say new file and I'll say detail.html. So if I come back to this view, so I'll pass in there detail.html. Now the next thing we need to do is our URLs. So here, up here, I'm going to say post detail view. I'll import this view that we just create, this post detail view. So that's what I imported here. I'll pass in like this comma. Let's give this a name. So when we are linking it, so I'll just give this name. Let's say posts, or let's say blog home like this. Then here for this new part, it's going to be parts, then posts first. It's going to be post / ints and primary key. We have plenty posts in our model, so this primary key to get the actual like blog that we are going to, then I'll pass in this post detail view and also give it a name. The name is very important when you are linking it in each page. So I'll say post detail like this. Then the next thing is to come to this detail.html view, and I'm just going to create an h3 tag like this, and inside this h3 tag I'm going to do what? Post the content. So I'll just say post.content like this. So all the content of the post will be there, and let me say, okay, not only content, h1 post.title, sorry, h1 tag, and I'll say post.title here. Then, and let's just put dates. Let's put the span. post.date. So now if I save this, if I save this, now let me come to this, and here I'm just going to say, I'll pass in this template tag, and I'll do this double percentage URL. Now what will I pass here? The name that I give it in my URL not by post detail. Now let me come here. So the URL is what? Post detail, and I'm going to pass my primary key, which is post.pk. So if I save this and go back to my browser here, refresh the page, okay, it's actually working. And here when we say click here to read more, so if I click this, I'm linked. Okay, we're having an error. Let's see what is wrong. Now the reason for that error is that, you see, when we are defining class view, you have to add this as_view. I forgot to add it here, so that's why I'm having this error. So I'm just saying say .as_view. So it's because it's class view, so I have to add this. Then if I do that and allow this to reload, so if I go back to the browser here and refresh the page, so I click here to read more, you see I have this post 1. I go back and click this one, you see the post 2. Please like, share and subscribe. So that is how you use DetailView in Django. Now the next thing is what? CreateView. So let me go back to my code here. So in these views, let me rearrange this. We have done ListView, DetailView. The next view we are dealing with is what? CreateView. So CreateView, not only CreateView, CreateView plus form handling, how to handle form. So let's get started. So now the same way I'm going to I'm going to like write this my class, then I'll say post create view like this. Now after this, I need two things to make this work. I need one, my CreateView. So the same way I have to import this here, CreateView. Now apart from this CreateView, I need one thing again, which is login. Let me write it here, login required mixing. So this login required mixing, what it does is that it makes sure that unless the user is logged in before they can access this page. So I'm going to pass it as an argument here, login required mixing like this. Then here the same way I'm going to call the model, which is the model we are working with is post. Then the template name again. So the template name, let's create a new template. So here I'm going to create a new file. I'll say post.html. Sorry, let me rename it post.html like this, and let me remove this. So if I come back to my views now, I'm just going to pass in post.html. But not only that, since this is a create view, so this is a page where without logging into our admin page where we can post view from here. So I have to give, what fields are we going to give it to, like to this page? So the fields is just this, our title, and also our content. So from this page, people can just post blog from this page. So now we have the title and the content, just like what we have in our admin, title and content. Now, how can we handle this form now? So to handle this form, to know that if the form is valid before the post can be saved or be updated or be uploaded, so I'm going to create a function here. So I'll say define form underscore valid like this. So self, and I'll pass in the argument form again. Now here I'll say form dot instance dot author is equal to self dot request dot user. And also here I'm going to return the superclass dot form underscore valid, which is what's passing the argument form. So I'll just say, so this is one way to handle form in Django. So what do we do? So we call this form valid, which is like a built-in function also. So we want to get what the form instance dot author. Now the author of the post must be what? The user that is logged in, and after that it should return the validated form. So what else do we need to do? So in this post.html, so here I'm just going to say, let's say an h1 tag, and I'll call it here, I'll say post form. Then inside I'm going to create like a form tag. So form is going to be method, let's say posts. Then I'll close the tag like this, and inside we are going to have like what CSRF token, just the same way we handle form in Django. So CSRF underscore token like this, and also I'll say form dot as underscore p to get all the fields out. Then I'll create a button here, I'll say type is submit, and here I'll say save, and I'll close my tag here button. So if I save this and pass in this view that we have here, this post create view, into my urls.py here, so I'm just going to import it post create view. So the same way I'll say path. Now here the name of the path is going to be post slash new, then post slash new, and after that I'm going to call this post create view dot as underscore view like this. Don't forget that. Now the name should be post create like this. So after that I need to put my comma here. So after, if I save this, it's currently reloading here, and go back to my browser. So if I refresh this and go to post slash new like this, you see I have this post form that we have here. So if I want to create a new post, so let's say new post, and here I say this is a new post, and I save it. Okay, post create view object has no attribute. So the error is right here. So if I go back to this code right here, and I go back to my views.py, so here I didn't write my request well. So self.request, I didn't spell it well. So self.request.user, and I save it and go back to my browser here, refresh this page. Okay, improperly configured at post.new, either provide a URL or get a absolute URL. So to solve this error, the thing we need to do is that our blog has been updated, but we didn't like give a success URL. So let's go and give a success URL that after the blog has been posted, where should it go to? So I'll go back to my code here. So right here in this place, I'm going to say success. success URL, and I'll say reverse lazy. So first I need to import this reverse lazy up here. Reverse lazy. So import reverse lazy from Django.urls. And here I'm going to call it reverse lazy. Then where do I want it to be redirected to? So where I want it to be redirected to is my home page right here. So here, this blog home. So I'll come to this my views here and I'll call it blog home, the name we gave it here. Sorry, the name we gave it here, blog home. So after that, if I save this and go back to the browser and go back to my browser and refresh this page, so you see I've posted this thing 3 times. I think every time I rerun it, that's why it's posting it again. So this new post, click to read more. This is a new post. So now we posted this directly from our post page. So let's just go and delete more of this. It's too much. Let's delete some of it. So if I log into my admin and come here, so you see we have how many? 1, 2, 3, 4. This is how many times I've run it. That is why. Let me just delete some here and delete selected. Go. Yes, I'm sure. Delete. So now what I want to do now is, let's say I log out and I want to visit that post page. Will I be allowed to post a blog? Let me log out. So I've logged out now. So I want to go back here and I want to go to this post page, that post/new. So let me try to post a blog. So let me say another post. This is another post. If everything works well, I should be given an error. You see, value error, cannot post because what? I'm not authenticated. Must be a user instance. There's a way we can actually get instead of having this error here, we can just send an error message to the person. But what I just want to show you is that if we are not logged in, we cannot post blog. So that is not, I am sending an error message or doing that is not the scope of this tutorial. The scope of this tutorial is just to show you how to use class-based view. So I'm just showing you this to just show you that what if you are not logged in, you cannot post blog. So let me log in again from here. So user and my password that I use. So now I'm not logged in, and if you see the latest post that I was trying to post, you see there another post did not come because I was not logged in. So if I come here again and refresh, okay, CSRF token, if I try to post this same blog and save, you see that I'll be able to post it now because what? I'm now logged in. You see, I have another post, author, user, click here to read more. This is another post. So that is how you can use CreateView in Django. So now let's start with the UpdateView. So we have done CreateView. The next one is the UpdateView. UpdateView. Now the same way, now this UpdateView is just now if you want to edit a post, instead of we have posted, let's say you make mistake and I want to edit it. So how can we do that? It's very simple. So let's just say I'll call my class again and I'll say post, I'll name this class result post update view. Now here I'm going to pass in another argument, the same thing that we use again, the login required mixing. So login required mixing to make sure that when the person is logged in before they can post, and also another one, update view. Now so here I have to import this my update view up here. So update view. Now not only that, there's another one that I want to give, which is what? A mixing again, which is user passes text mixing. Okay, let me first import it up here. So I'll say user passes text mixing like this. So this one is just to make sure that what a selected user can update the post, not just anyhow user. So let me pass it here. User passes text mixing. I'm going to explain in just in a little while now. So the same way, the model is still the same post. Now this is an update view. If you want to edit a post, so the field should still be the same thing, like our title, and also I'll pass in the content like this. Now the template name, so the template name, so let's create a new template. So here I'll say a new file and I'll call it updates.html. so let me remove this post. So in these views, in this update.html, so this template name, I'll say updates.html. Now the next thing we want to do now is that now want to define a function. So the first function I want to define the same thing here, form valid. This one is just to text that what is the same user. The user should be sorry. So yeah, this one is just to test that what the instance, the author should be like you registered user. Now not only that, so now the next one is just want to be sure that what a user want to limit the access that what is an author that should be able to delete that should be able to edit a particular post. So this is what I'm saying. So I'll say define test underscore function like this. Then I'm going to return self like that. Now here I'll say post is equal to self dot get objects like that. So self dot get object, we should get the post object, then and it should return self dot request dot user is equal to post dot author. Now what we just did there is that what once we this one is just to validate that what the author must be a logged in user, and this one is working for this user passes text mixing. It's just to like limit the access to what the user. It should not be another user should not delete another person's post or should not edit another person's post. So it should be the same user that posted the blog, or the author should be the one that will edit or update the blog. That's just what we did here. Although this part is actually not necessary, you can decide to remove it. I just put it there, so if it can be useful for you in your future projects. So now the next thing I want to do is in this my urls.py. So here I'll add in another part like this. So here I'll say post, and I'll get the int. Okay, sorry, let me pass in a string like that, post. Then I'll say to get int each post, int and pk slash updates like that. And here I'll say let's import our post update view, and I'll pass it here, post update view dot has underscore view. Now and the name should be post update. Now what do we want to do now? So I'm going to open this my home.html here. I'll just add a new tag, let's say update. So I'll say a reference what we have here like this. So here I'll say, let me say edit post, and here I'm going to call in, I'll pass in something like this here, URL, and I'll say post updates, then it's going to be post.pk like this. So now if you click this post, it will take you to that updates view. So in this I'll come back to my update.html now. Let me copy this post.html what we have here. I'll say Ctrl+C and paste it to my update.html. Yeah, I'll just say update. I'll change this one to update post like this. So it should still be the same thing that is here. Save it. So if I go back to the browser here, refresh what we have here. So now if I click on this edit post, okay, I'm having improperly configured at post one updates using model form mixing without the field attribute is prohibited. Okay, so if I go back to my code here, let's say if I go back to this views page, so here I put field, it should be fields. If you look at what we have here, we have what we had fields, if you see. So here I just put field, so add s to this place, it should be fields. And if you save this and go back to the browser, refresh, so now you see I can edit, I can update this post. So here Django views the content that is there. So if I change this was Django views towards Django class based views and I save, okay, improperly configured, the same thing, we didn't return a success URL. So if I come back here, what we have here again, I'll just copy this success URL, it should return back to our home page. And I save this. If I come back here and save this, I'll go back to my browser and refresh this. You see, it changed from what? Django class based views. If I try to edit this one now, yeah, welcome to this channel. Let's say welcome, let me just say welcome to my channel, and I save. You see it changed what? Welcome to my channel. So that is how we use UpdateView. And if another user is logged in, he cannot update this post. So since we have only one user, I don't need to worry myself with that. So that is how we can use UpdateView. So the next one is the DeleteView. So let's go and work on that DeleteView. So now we have done ListView, DetailView, CreateView, UpdateView. Now the next one is the DeleteView. So now the next one is the DeleteView. So which is going to be the last one we talk about. The last view we are going to talk about, which is the DeleteView. So the same way, I'm going to call this class and I'm going to say post DeleteView. That's what I'm going to call it. Then the same, we are going to import our DeleteView. I'll pass in our DeleteView argument, and I will import it from here. Let's say here I'm going to add it there, which is the DeleteView. Then after that, I will add this login required mixing and what user passes mixing, user passes text mixing. Then after that, so the same way, our model is posts. Now the delete, what we just want to do, the template name is okay, we don't actually need the template name. Okay, let's say template name should be post confirm delete.html. Template name should be, let's say, delete.html. that's what I want to name it. So here, in this my template, I'm going to create a new file and it's going to be delete.html. so I'll come back to my views here. So not only that, success URL, let me just copy this success URL, it should return back to the home page. And also now we want to add this test function to make sure that it's the same author that is going to delete the post, although it's not really necessary. So after that I have to come back to my urls.py here. So here I'm going to import this post delete view is already imported here. So I'm just going to say paths, then it's going to be post / int and primary key like this, then / delete. Now I'm going to call it post delete view and I'll say dot as underscore view like this. Then I'm going to give it a name. Now the name is going to be posts delete like this. Then after that, let's go back to our home.html here. There's something wrong somewhere. Okay, here there's supposed to be a comma here. Now after that, let's go back to our home.html. So here I'm just going to copy exactly the same thing and I'll paste it here. But instead of post update, it's going to be what? Post delete, and here is going to be delete post. Now after that, after this delete post, now in this delete.html, I'm going to copy what we have here. I'll say Ctrl A, Ctrl C, and paste it here. Now here it should be delete post. Now I don't need this form.as underscore p, and here we are going to call it delete. And after that, I can put a reference, like you should reference back home, let's say to blog home, and that is going to be cancel. Let's say cancel delete, and then I'll have this a tag here. So after that, let's go back to our browser here and refresh my page. So now I already have this edit post and delete post now. So this Django class based view. So if I click on delete post, you see it says delete cancel. If I press on cancel delete, okay, blog home, I didn't do something wrong. Let me check that. Let me first check my URLs. Okay, and my views. Sorry, this is my delete.html. Okay, sorry, this is not how we link. So percentage URL, and it's going to be blog home like this. So if I save this and go back to the browser and refresh, let me come back here and refresh this post. If I say cancel delete, I'm back here. If I come back to delete post and I click delete, this is already deleted. If I click on delete post again and I delete, you see this one is also deleted. If I click on edit post and I say save, it's saved. And if I click here to read more, this is a new post 1. So that is all for this video. So that is how you can do, that is all about class based view. So in this video we have actually talked about so we have actually talked about what we have talked about: the list view, the class based view, the detail view, create view, update view, and so on. So we have seen how we can use the class based views for code operations, and how we can keep our codes very clean and modular. So please subscribe to this channel, like this video, and share it. So if you want more Django tips and projects like this, please subscribe to this channel. So thank you for watching.